Hello and welcome to Partitioning Segments. So here's the situation. We want to find the point that divides the segment into a ratio of 1 to 3, and we're given coordinates of 10, 18 and 26, 58. If we think about that for a second, if I want something to be split up into a ratio of 1 to 3, please copy this, we would have 1x here and 3x here. In essence, what you're going to need to do is take that 1x plus 3x to get 4x, and you'll want to divide your distances from the x coordinates and your distances from the y coordinates by 4. So we're going to divide by 4 here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out the difference in the x's, which is kind of like the slope. We're going to do 26 minus 10 over, instead of dividing by 2 when we find the midpoint, we're going to divide it by 4. And then we are also going to, at the same time, do 58 minus 18 and divide that by 4 as well. So in this case, we have 16 divided by 4, which is 4. And in this case, we have 40 divided by 4, which is 10. These two numbers represent the change in the x and the change in the y. So if we were to start at 10, which is this number 10, and we were to change by 4, I would wind up at 14. If I was to start at 18, and I would change by 10, I would wind up with 28. And my answer is the ordered pair 14, 28. So let's take a look at that for a second. To get from 10 to 26, there's a difference of 16 units. If I wanted to split that up into a ratio of 1 to 3, the difference between those was 16 units. I would divide it by 4 and get 4. That means I'm going to go up 4. And the next distance between 14 and 26 would in fact be 12. So that would be in a ratio of 1 to 3. The same thing is going to happen for the y-coordinates. If you were to look at 18 to 58, and then I looked at 28, 18 is 10 units from 28, and 28 is 30 units from 58. Therefore, the ratio is still 1 to 3. I know this is a little confusing, but try to find the differences between the x's and divide by the total segment, which in this case is 4x. And then apply that change into your new coordinates. Let's take a look at the next example. Okay, this next one is slightly different. What we are looking at is taking the coordinates from A to B and separating it into a segment AR and RB so that AR is 2/3 of the way. So the entire piece is going to be 3, and AR is going to be like 2x, and RB is going to be like 1x. We still need to find the differences in the x's. Let's start by finding the x coordinate. So we're going to take 12 minus 0, which is 12, and we are then going to take that 12, divide it by 3 to get 4, and then we're going to take that 4 and times it by 2 to get 8, and then I'm going to take 0 plus 8 to give me my new x coordinate of 8. If you think about it for a second, as far as the x's go, the total distance in the x's is 12 units. If you wanted to go 2/3 of 12, you would also get 8. That is shown over here in this divided by 3 times it by 2. You could also do 2/3 times 12 equals 8 if you want. This 8 represents the change in the x's. Okay, we're going to apply that same strategy to the y's now. So we're going to do the changes in the y's, which is 10 minus 1, which is 9. We're going to take 9 and divide it by 3 to get 3. And we're going to take that 3 and times it by 2 to get 6. If you want to, you could also take 2/3 of 9 and still come up with 6. Now try to keep in mind that this 6 represents the change in the y-coordinates. So we're going to start with 1 and we're going to add 6, and my new y-coordinate is going to be 7. And then the point that separates this so that it's 2/3 of the way is going to be 8, 7. Now let's think about that for a second. If you were to take the difference between the x's 0 to 12, 2/3 of that would in fact be 8. And if you were to take the difference between 1 and 10, 2/3 of the way along that would in fact be the coordinate of 7. So this is another example where it's slightly different than the last one. To partition it so that it's 2/3 of the way, you want to divide everything by 3. In the first example that we did, we wanted to divide everything by the sum of the parts. Thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow.